November last year, and found out I had the role went middle of December, and so currently we've been. I know Kjesten's been in the establishment phase through to this phase, so she's been in this a lot longer than I have. But it's been a really rapid journey, I suppose, over the last 10 months or so, pulling all this together. Neb's been fantastic as our Chief Operating Officer. He didn't have an official role for a while as we kind of worked things through, but in the background he's just been making everything happen. We took the opportunity, as he said, to organise today with some of our external speakers, and so Kjesten and I are just going to first of all give a bit of an intro around the platform, what we've been doing, where we've got to, and then hopefully what we'll then do is roll into some of the more technical talks, etc. So really looking forward to today. Come on up and say good day if I haven't met you before. I'm sure Kjesten would say likewise. It's just about getting to know you all and finding out where you sit in the sector. So,
you're going to introduce yourself next.
Yeah, I am. Next is me. Hi, Gary Evanstock. I'm originally from Dunedin, so I trained at University of Otago a long time ago and went to Oxford for 3 years. And in 1994, which is 30 years ago today, which is really hard to believe, I came back to New Zealand and is pretty much looking at antimicrobial resistance, MRSA, and so I've been in the infectious diseases space for a long time, and a lot of my work's involved nucleoside chemistry, nucleotide chemistry, making small oligosaccharides, oligonucleotides, all sorts of things in that kind of chemistry space. So that's my background. I've, I suppose, had some time out as Chief Science Advisor at the Ministry of Business, Innovation and Employment, where I met a lot of the team behind the funding of this particular platform, like Danette, who's here today. And it's just been a real privilege to be part of this investment today. So I'll chuck to Kjesten to introduce herself.
Kia ora everybody, my name's Kjesten. I'm co-director with Gary. I'm also Deputy Director at the Mulligan Institute. My background, I also trained at Otago, and in fact I was born in Dunedin, if you really want to know. But trained at Otago, followed by Brown University in the United States, and from there got the bug for spinning companies out. So I spun 2 companies out of my postdoctoral research, and one in Providence, Rhode Island, another one in Cambridge, Massachusetts. So I did that for about 20 years. And it was in small molecule drug discovery, so we were looking at a bunch of different neuropsychiatric conditions, trying to create new small molecule treatments for those. And then after that, I started getting a hankering to come back to New Zealand, but I thought, where on earth would I do that kind of stuff here? So I ended up at Ministry of Business, Innovation and Employment, which I actually really enjoyed. It taught me a whole different scale of thinking that I probably wouldn't have had. And now I feel really, really privileged to be at the Mulligan Institute, helping do some amazing stuff there. So that's me. And I've been co-director of this thing as well, in my spare time. All right, so do you want to do this one?
Yeah, no, I can do this. So the investment, during the pandemic, there was a lot of work done with an MB around the purchase of a vaccine alongside the Ministry of Health. And as part of that event, a lot of thinking was done around just the resilience and the sovereign capability we might have in this vaccine space, particularly given that RNA is so much amenable to, the cost and size of setup is just so much more within New Zealand's reach, I suppose, compared to thinking about a traditional vaccine production. And this has just been a kind of an ongoing conversation. I think Jacinda Ardern was a big proponent or supporter of this particular investment. And we got the money through the cabinet process, went into a pre-establishment phase, or a phase of people putting together bids to host, and Te Herenga Waka was successful in hosting this alongside the University of Auckland with partners, the Mulligan Institute of Medical Research and the University of Otago. So it's $70 million over 7 years. The investment is a SIF investment, which is similar. There are a lot of SIF investments out there, and it really is an investment in capability infrastructure and looking at how we can support the development of RNA technologies. So a core aspect of that, well, we'll have a wee bit of talk today about the central facility where we're actually manufacturing R&D quality mRNA. So if we go to the next slide. So hopefully most of you, either through the establishment phase or since we've been in this, I suppose the contract's now been running for just on a year. We've talked about a mission. We went around the country and talked to people about what our mission should be, what our vision should be. The directors were put in place following the establishment phase where we had interim co-directors. And we've been working with Victoria University of Wellington as the contract holder and host, and the other partners to put in place an organisational structure, working really closely with the MB to sort out reporting. We've already done an annual report, even though we've been running for a relatively short period of time. But a big part of this has been sorting out the organisational structure. So strategic science investment funding, as I said, there are a lot of examples of this across the sector. The Antarctic Research Centre, for instance, runs as a SIF, and they have an organisational structure which we tried to adopt. And we've kind of ended up with something relatively close to that with MB. The hosts off to the side there. We have governance in terms of an oversight group which looks after the contract with MB, which is made up of, there'll be some slides actually detailing this, so maybe I'll slip to that. But you can see there is a structure there that's relatively involved. And so the oversight group is chaired by Margaret Hyland at Te Herenga Waka, and involves Frank Bloomfield as DVCR, Richard Blakey, I saw today, hey Richard, as DVCR at Otago, and Graham LeGros from the Maligan. We then have a steering group, and so our chairs here today, Juliet from the back is chairing this group, including Sally, David Murdoch from the University of Otago, John Roche, Ministry of Primary Industries, Pali Thorudson is over there today, thank you Pali. So Pali's been involved right from the get-go during the establishment phase and helping us out a lot. He runs the RNA platform in New South Wales, and he'll talk a wee bit later in the day. Jeremy Parai is here. Kia ora, Sir Jerry. It's great to have you here. Duncan McIntosh, I don't think, has made it today. You'll probably surprise me. Danette is over on the back, and Obadiah Plant is all the way here from the east coast of the United States of America. So thank you, Obi, for coming all this way. Then we have a scientific advisory group, which John Fraser is chairing, and we had our meeting yesterday with them. So Duccio Medini is here, and he'll be talking later. We've got Phil Sanangelo also here, and Archer Fox from University of Western Australia, who is not here but was online with us yesterday. We kind of took the opportunity to organise this relatively quickly, so yeah, we weren't able to get Archer here just because, you know, it's a busy time of year. I think we all know everybody's travelling and doing things. So cool. If I throw to you.
All right, so I guess the overall, just to echo back to that vision and mission thing, this is a little bit of a different investment, because what we're trying to do is build some scale and some capability all around RNA technologies, and we really want to be able to both develop them and manufacture them here in New Zealand. And that was, as Gary kind of mentioned, came out of the pandemic when New Zealand was in a bit of a precarious position, and the government felt quite strongly that we actually needed to develop some of this capability for ourselves. So it's not, the investment is not sort of scattered, diffuse, anything to do with RNA. It's really focused on development and production or manufacture of RNA. So the way we're thinking about powering this platform up is essentially through projects. And we've got a number of different types of them. Some of you will be familiar with all of these. When we first started the platform about a year ago, we looked at, no offence Danette, we looked at all of the things that we had to sort out for MV, all of the policies, all of the paperwork, and getting the actual thing in place. And we thought, oh boy, we could sit here for a year and actually be quite happy doing all of this stuff, but there'd be no sign of activity to the outside world, and we didn't want to have that. So we thought maybe we could pick some fast start projects, which are projects that are already around. They've got a team, they've got a great project and ideas, they're already underway, and it's a way that the platform can kind of hit the ground running, and at the same time we build the capability capability that we need anyway. So we've got 8 of those projects. They've been going for about almost a year, or some of them have. Others have been held up by things like the EPA. But we've been making great progress for those projects, including all of the production of the RNA for them. When we first started it, we thought that the fast starts we would just do once, just as a way to get going. Now that they're in progress, we kind of see it as a really good mechanism for continuing to introduce new ideas into the platform. So we could keep having these every year, an opportunity to pull in a couple, maybe not 8, maybe fewer number than that, but it's, they're short, sharp projects. They're to test out new ideas and then see where that leads us. So that's the fast starts. The next one is the pillar project. So in order to give the platform a little bit of structure at the start and to focus our thinking somewhat, we decided to create some pillars, and I'll talk about those in just a little bit. But inside of those pillars of work, which are led by people, we've got projects aimed at lifting our capability in the particular area. So the pillar leaders have really thought quite hard about where we are as New Zealand as a whole, where is the rest of the world, what are our advantages, how do we kind of bring ourselves up in a good way. And then the last type of project we haven't started yet. So this is a flagship project. And what we want to do with a flagship project is to really unite the platform. So unite all of those pillars, all of the different work streams by having a project that's quite big, that's quite ambitious. It might actually be quite risky. But if it's, not risky, then maybe, the bigger the risk, the bigger the gain potentially. So we just want to kind of set our ambition quite high for that one and have a project that is probably going to be strategically driven and selected, that will speak to the capability that we've built and that may speak to unique New Zealand needs or advantage. So we're just working through the process right now of what we're going to do in order to select those projects, identify and select. So here are the Fast Start projects. I'm not going to talk about any of these today because you're going to hear from some of the Fast Start people, but you can see that they go over quite a wide variety of topics and areas and capabilities. And these are the pillars. So we've got the pillars we basically put in place to think about a very rough general process going from start to finish of the whole discovery and development process. We've got put in place pillar leaders, which a lot of them, not all of them, but many of them are here today, and so you'll be able to meet them and hear from them and hear how they're thinking about their pillars and what their visions for those advancement of that type of work is going to be. And with the pillar plans, this is year 1 out of a 7-year program. And what we wanted to do in year 1 was actually to focus quite broadly, because we wanted to make sure that we were casting our net wide enough that we were going to incorporate in other people's knowledge and capabilities as apart from our own. And we think that over time we will find out which bits and pieces are more relevant for us, and those plans may start to focus in as time goes on. But we thought start off with a broad base and build it from there. And then we'll have a flagship project that will really take advantage of what we've built through that pillar process. And before I go into this slide, I might just say a couple of words about the Science Advisory Group meeting. We had our very first one yesterday with John and his very carefully selected team from overseas, and we thought that the meeting was really, really good. We got some fantastic feedback from them, and John, I don't know if you want to say anything real quick. He's like, no, don't throw me under. But no, it was a really good meeting, and we feel really lucky to have the people that we've got there that are able to input into it. So the last little bit that we want to talk about is just where we're making the RNA. So we have got a central location for making the RNA, and the reason we did this was because it came back to that scattering idea. If we were just to kind of put in, little RNA making labs all over the country, all doing their own independent thing, not really talking to each other, you're not actually building that kind of scale and capability that this investment wanted. So what we wanted to do was actually have one location where we could kind of concentrate our efforts and really build. And as it happened, because of the pandemic, MB had made a previous investment called VANS, Vaccine Alliance Aotearoa New Zealand, and through that investment we'd got equipment, we'd gotten people, and we'd really started building very heavily. And so at the outset that was a natural place to continue that work through this investment so that we didn't have to go back and reinvent the wheel and start from scratch. We were able to pick up and go. So we've got this R&D producing lab at the moment, which you're going to hear more about today. And we've also got a partnership with South Pacific Sierra down in the South Island, who are really capable. They have GMP set up and they'll be able to scale and do GMP production in the long term. So you'll hear more about both of those things later on. But I think at this point we'd just like to open up for questions.
Yeah, I just quickly might just say that, one of the things is it isn't solely about human health. There is an animal, plant, viruses, it could be diseases in general, different modalities. It's not just about mRNA. It could be about antisense oligonucleotides. It could be small interfering RNA. I think we're looking at everything. It might be therapeutics as opposed to, classic vaccine. And I think some of that came out of the discussion yesterday at the Science Advisory Group that, maybe we need to be thinking about that a little bit more as things change. We kind of know things are rapidly moving. We were talking about a one-box unit yesterday from RiboPro that Duccio was talking about. We're basically going all the way from DNA through to RNA through to, encapsulation, all on a bench top that would fit easily on this table. And that's just how rapidly, the technology is shifting and moving. And we're trying to, take that into account because, when this policy work was done, 4 years ago, to form the foundation for this investment, things have changed a hell of a lot in that time. So we're just trying to be nimble and adapt where we can.
Yeah. Yeah, questions, anybody?